that coming from the writer's perspective has stood me well, because nothing leads into advertising for me. Everything is from my writer's eye, saying it has to answer the questions from the reader. It must answer what, when, why, where, how. It can't lead into just another booklet that you're gonna, the article's gonna ask you to send off and get in for more information on it.
Sure.
A lot of writers, surprisingly, want to write an article, but they don't want to do it complete. And they may be writers of books or good pamphlets, and I say, I want that entire pamphlet, or I want that entire book in there, the gist of it, so whoever's reading the article can do what you say they can do. They don't have to write to you for more. And he says, you'll get your credit at the end, parenthetically. Very often with the writer, especially if they have a book out, I'll give you a name, address, and telephone number. But he says, so, you know, they'll contact you, a lot of the readers will, but I want a complete article so people can do what you were talking about from your article.
Well, as a reader and a subscriber, I can certainly say that all the articles fit the bill. Things that we have read, like do-it-yourself articles that we have done, we didn't get hung up on anything, and everything that we needed was listed there, and all of the steps, and there was no problem. And that's difficult. I mean, even if you buy a product that you have to assemble yourself, often you get a set of instructions that will drive you mad trying to figure out.
Lousy editors of the company.
Oh, it's
You're
insane.
about you buy a computer program and the book that comes with it drives you nuts.
Absolutely.
And it takes somebody coming out of their garage who becomes an expert in that to write another book for the whatever product, the IBM product or the Macintosh product.
Dave, you're in Ashland, Oregon. Is that your home?
Yes, the magazine actually started off in Ventura, California, about 700 miles south of here. And we moved up here a little less than a year ago. I've been building a house in the mountains above Ashland for 7 years, and it's been always my goal to get up here. Matter of fact, building that house is what has actually prompted me to start the magazine.
Well, that's good. So you had lived in the big city or near big cities, and you'd always wanted to get out into the country.
I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, which is sort of a medium-sized city. A couple million people there by now, I guess. And I moved to California 20 years ago. So I was living in Ventura, which is about 60 miles north of L.A. It's now experiencing a lot of increased growth, increased smog, and everything that goes with the increase in population. You know, more crime, more burglaries, more government cold, if you want to do anything. Just the week before I left, they towed my trailer that was parked in front of my house, you know, a 26-foot long Comfort, because it's been parked there more than 10 days. You always get more of that when these rural areas or semi-rural areas become very city-sized. 20 years ago when I moved to Ventura from Boston, it was quite nice. As a matter of fact, I went in there and I said, I didn't actually move from Boston. I went from Boston to Las Vegas and then to Ventura. And I said, boy, what kind of a hick town is this? Turned out to turn into a big city after a while.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Dave, what prompted you to choose this type of magazine over any other type? But I guess you've answered it. You said building your home.
Well, you know, let me elaborate on that just a bit, Bill. About, I guess it's about 9 years ago now, I got divorced while living in Ventura. And I had owned a beach house, well, 11 houses back from the beach. For most of the time I was living in California, which is, at that time now it would have been about 11 years. And through the divorce, I lost the house. We just had to sell it. Neither could afford to buy each other out. And we split up the money. We ended up with about $28,000 each. I sat on that money for about a year trying to figure out what to do. I wanted another house. That was at a time when housing prices in California and then all over the country were going through the roof.
Absolutely.
Right out of the market. I took $17,000 of that money and bought 2.5 acres right on the edge of I call it a BLM wilderness. Most of the land is 31 miles above Ashland. Is owned by either BLM, Warehouse of Timber, or one large ranch. And I invested the $17,000 in that land. And the reason why that was expensive, because land at the time was going for a couple of thousand acres. It had a nice big creek going through it. And with the remainder, $11,000, I built myself a house. So I was back in the housing market with about $28,000. when houses were going for $250,000 in Southern California. And I said, wow. And the reason I located up here, by the way, I used to vacation up here all the time. Always coming up, but this is off of I-5, going up through Ashland, Oregon, up towards Canada. I used to vacation. I said, boy, I like the Ashland area. I like the country around here. And I would love to relocate here someday. And that was part of what led to divorce, too. But divorce, I was stuck with, I'm out of a house. What am I going to do? And so I built my own house. And the house, right now I have more than $11,000 into it. I probably have closer to maybe $22,000 into it. Nice and comfortable, very remote. And I'm a homeowner again without a mortgage.
Well, if you're listening to this, folks, how would you like to have a home for $22,000 on 2 acres of land in a beautiful country setting with lots of trees and a nice climate? And Oregon fits all of those bills. I'm looking at the magazine right now, Dave, and it says the sensible way to store and use food, blacksmithing, heating and window systems, water wheels, home canning, herbal first aid. I have back issues that have subjects like solar power, solar hot water, all of these kinds of things, and many more. I mean, that's not even a drop in the bucket. But you have articles on guns, hand-loading your ammo, social conditioning, women in self-defense. You have a lot of articles in your magazine for women, I notice. Farm and garden articles, rabbit diseases, how to cope with them, how to raise rabbits, how to grow a garden. This is just more than owning a house. I mean, you're telling people here how to really get out of the system and survive on their own, aren't you?
Yes. What happened was, even though the magazine started by building my own house, excuse me, I decided that that was so easy to do compared to how hard I thought it would be to get back into a house, that I'm going to write a book about how to build a house, where at the time was about $10,000. But to test market that book, because I had written a book long ago, the publisher made a lot of money and I made only a little bit, I decided to launch a magazine called Backwoods Home, about building your own house. And then I said, well, if it's Backwoods Home, we have to cover a few other themes. So I did a lot of research and contacted some other writers I had known, and we come up with some articles on gardening and some articles on self-sufficiency, some articles on alternative energy, because I had intended to put a solar electric system in my house. So we launched I guess the first issue was 40 pages, and it was such a big response to that the magazine was launched. I never really intended to launch the magazine per se. This was going to be, see how many, if there's interest for my book, How to Build a House Out There. Never wrote that book. Now we're just going to press with the 19th issue of the magazine. Once you're out in the country, you'll learn what the needs of country people are. And they very often turn to, of course, self-sufficiency and preparedness. They often turn to jobs. A lot of people move to the country and they have to run back to the city with their tail between their legs because they can't find a living. We devote, to the current issue, I think we have 3 articles on jobs that are well-suited to the country. We do a lot of research on them. We do about 10% of each issue on alternative energy. We're in the midst of a 3-part series on hydropower. Do a lot on photovoltaics, photo meaning light, voltaic volts, so it's solar electricity, turning the sun directly into electricity. It's a technology that is here today. We touch a lot on generator power, because that's the traditional method of power. A lot of my readers live beyond the power lines. And if you're going to bring the conveniences of modern life into your home, you need electricity, which stresses a good point. A lot of people compare us to the old days of Mother Earth News. And by the way, John Shuttleworth, who founded Mother Earth News back in '70, then sold it in '80 to some advertising people out of New York, is a very big booster of ours. We've used 3 letters to the editor praising us from him, which I thank him for. Because he sort of started the whole country theme.
Sure, but you're not really the same as the Mother Earth News.
And the point I want to make is Mother Earth News wrote more for a hippie-type audience. When they tackled technology, and John, forgive me for saying it, they were right half the time and they were wrong half the time.
Well, they also had a philosophy that they were going to go completely back to the land. I mean, just absolutely give up almost all.
Philosophy at all. Our philosophy is move to the country because it's better for raising your kid. It's better for your mental well-being. You're getting out of the rat race, which is going to kill you 10 years before your time. But bring the modern conveniences of society with you. Bring your microwave. You can do that because you can create your own electricity no matter where you live through a variety of alternative energy, especially photovoltaics. You can bring...
You really don't have to give up anything, and you can become totally self-sufficient off the power grid, not relying upon government or city or anything else in order to survive and have a good life and not have to give up the modern conveniences.
That's right, and the advent of the personal computer has helped things even more because you can create a business on that personal computer. My whole magazine is created on one 486 computer. The first issue was created on a Compact Desk Pro, which is the clone of the IBM PC, that first little computer that was out, and they all, real slow computers.
Mm-hmm.
Worked fine. Took a little bit longer. Now I have a faster machine. But the entire thing is done on that, with the exception of the art. Good art, like the quality, the artist drawings we have on our cover, done by my artist, Don Childers. And you just, any art you have, any photos, the computer creates the page, and you paste your photos down in the form of a half-tone. It's just an $8 process per picture that goes through an art studio.
Mm-hmm.
But you can create so many jobs, a lot of mail, a lot of businesses for yourself on the computer. And part of the theme of the magazine too is all these people who go to the country, try to live their own life. They're good for the country. 75% of the new jobs in this country are created by small businesses. They're not created by government, not created by the big IBMs of the world or any place like that. They're created by small businesses. These people who choose to leave the rat race, get away from a job they hate, and that they're probably living up to half their productivity from, they get into the country, they have to make a living, they work their butt off. A lot of these small business entrepreneurs living in the backwoods, they're working 12, 13, 14 hours a day. They're good for the country. They create 1 or 2 jobs for people to help them with their business. And they're not only good for the country, it's great for themselves, I tell you.
Certainly.
Their own boss.
Sure. Well, that's what I do. I live out in the country. I'm not anywhere near a city, and we're self-supporting and self-sufficient. And we make, we don't look around for someone to give us anything or for someone to give us a job or we have to go to somebody else to earn our way. I've always been a great believer that all of us have been given something that is just incredible. It's called a brain, and if we just use it, we don't need anybody else. And it's so wonderful to be able to be not under somebody else's thumb, to make your own decisions, to decide what you're going to do today and how much you're going to do and what your income is going to be, and do something that you really like to do.
Well, folks, it's time to take a little break. You're listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm your host, William Cooper, with our special guest, Mr. Dave Duffy, editor and publisher of Backwoods Home magazine. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Show, and you know that I don't sell advertising. I invited Dave Duffy on this show because I think Backwoods Home magazine is probably one of the best magazines that anyone in this world could ever subscribe to. And we're going to get into some other things, too. We were just talking about what's good for the country, and one of the things that I really like about Dave Duffy and Backwoods Home magazine are his editorials, and his articles are not always about how to build a home or how to become self-sufficient or how to can food. In this last issue, there's an interview.
Folks, if you'd like to see this program stay on the air, and if you would like to help save the Constitution, this country, and thus freedom for the world, you need to join the Citizens Agency for Joint Intelligence, CAJI. It's our own private intelligence organization. With your membership, you get a certificate and an ID card which entitles you to substantial discounts to attend my lectures and workshops as I travel around this great country of ours. You'll also get the CAJI newsletter, which is normally $35 for 12 issues by itself. You'll also have access to our computer bulletin board database system, which is normally $30 per quarter or $80 per year. All of this, folks, and much, much more